goes so hard. Wow. That is a 14-year-old producer. Holy shit. I was not expecting that. What's up guys, Amél here back in the studio, and today I'm going to be taking a listen to your song demos. Now before I get started with this video, I just want to first of all say a big thank you to everyone who sent in their demos. I actually got a lot more demos sent in than I thought I would, and reading through some of these emails, you guys have been saying some really kind words about my videos and my music. So thank you very much for that. That really means a lot. Now, with that said, I think I got almost maybe 20 demos or something, which is more than I expected and certainly more than I can actually fit into one video. So I don't know how many I'll be able to fit in this video, probably not even half. But don't worry, if I don't have your song featured in this video, I will either write back to you in the email so you can get feedback that way, or I will probably end up doing more demo videos like this down the line if you guys like that. All right, now time to get into these demos. I have listened to none of them, so I've not even opened the emails. I've just seen them come in, so I'm gonna just go through randomly, open these emails, take a listen. Hopefully you guys have sent SoundCloud links, or we'll see what you guys sent. But I'm super excited to see what you guys have been making. So without further ado, let's jump into the emails and see what you guys have made. Okay, our first demo is from Cookie Spams. He's a 14-year-old producer, and I think I might have talked to him on Instagram. It's a sick intro. Really like vibey, kind of dark, moody. I really like it so far. Wow, that is a 14-year-old producer. Holy shit, I was not expecting that. First off, I just want to say that's an insane track. I love the idea, and the fact that you're 14 is insane. If I could do this when I was 14, holy shit. Starting off here, I just want to, let's see, if we go back right here in the intro. Love this intro, by the way. But these percussions just sound a little bit like, it sounds a bit simple. So maybe if you could just add something a little more complex, like if you could find a shaker loop on Splice or something that sounds a bit more natural. This build-up is sick. Okay, so a couple of thoughts on the drop. The drop is a super sick idea, but I think there's one big thing that could make it hit harder, which is that when you have any synthesizer, specifically on this track, the lead, you have all of your attack, delay, release, all your settings on your synth sort of set. And then what can really make it hit harder is if you go in and create a separate volume automation clip. So for instance, this track, each of the notes sort of has the same ADSR settings, right? If you can add in some volume automations, so some of the notes suddenly drop off, like ba, 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 ba. I don't know if that's really making sense, but adding parts where the synth drops out and just cuts off immediately will make the rest of it stand out. I'm also getting a lot of Julian Jordan sort of vibes from this. So right here, kind of in the first half of the first drop, maybe try adding in like an offbeat hi-hat, just to keep things really flowing. If you listen to a lot of Julian Jordan tracks, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. So try adding some punchy hi-hats, adding some volume automation clips to make certain notes in the lead stand out. But honestly, this is a super solid track. Keep working on it and just tweak some things, and I think it's really good. All right, really quickly, he sent me 2 links, so I'm going to take a listen to the second one as well. Man, his intros, dude, your intros are sick. Just like super vibey, setting up the atmosphere. I love it. This is also a super sick track, really nicely done. I'm not quite sure the feedback I'd give on this. I think maybe the thing I would do is maybe add some more fills. Right now, the drop, it's like a super kind of mellow sound. Like it's not harsh on the ears, it just flows really smoothly. But I think it just feels like it kind of just goes and doesn't have a bunch of like variation. So I might try adding a couple more fills, maybe have like a bit more of a defined lead. Also in the drop, I think you could probably emphasize the drums a little bit more. Right now it feels like they're a little bit buried. So maybe either try doing a bit harder of a side chain or adjust the mixing of the drums. Just something to make them help the drums stand out more, I think will help make the drop hit harder. But I love the idea of this. And again, this guy's 14, so that's pretty insane. Next up we have Malik. He is also from Instagram. Let's see what he has going.
I know it's probably in my head, but she got me shaking under the bed for you. I'm a nervous wreck for you.
This is good. It has vocals. Vocals makes a huge difference in tracks.
And you know that I've been avoiding, but maybe I'm stalling.
All right, before I go any further, I'm going to give the same feedback that I did for the previous one, which is that right here, some percussion is coming in and it just sounds kind of like hit, hit, hit. Like it's a pretty simple like percussion, which is not bad. It can be simple, but I would just try to do something that sounds maybe a bit more organic. Right now, it just sounds like you have a, one sample that sort of copy pasted over and over. Super sick. The melody is awesome. And I like the sound design too. It's again kind of like it's mellow, like it hits hard, but it's mellow. It's not harsh on the ears. Now I'm gonna give the same feedback that I gave in the last, or I guess in the first track, which is that in the drop right now the synth just kind of has the same tail on every note. First, try doing some pitch bending. Pitch bending can make a huge difference in making something sound from very synthy to a lot more organic. And then the second thing is the volume automation. So helping notes stand out by cutting them off. So it's ba ba da ba ba da ba da ba, just kind of goes along right now. And if you can really make some notes stand out like ba ba da ba ba da ba, you can do that with volume automation. You can do that with percussion, but just making a more defined melody. The other thing I would say about this track is that throughout the build-up, it feels like the energy kind of stays the same. I would try to have a bit more dynamic. So like it starts out these kind of low cutoff synths, then it builds up, the vocal cuts out, and then the melody comes in. Make that a lot more energy. And then when it goes into the build-up, cut out those synths. Right now they kind of stay the same level. Maybe put a filter on it so it filters out. The vocal comes back in, build up drums, and then it builds. And then when the drop comes, try doing like a defined fill, and then you really know it's like, okay, now it's time for the drop. Drop comes in. Anyway, hopefully that all makes sense. And like I said, super sick melody. So keep working on that track. I think it can be really awesome. Good job, man. Next up, we have Skylar Knox. Okay, I think that may be like an extended mix. Oh shit, I was not expecting that at all. Okay, that's actually super sick. I had no idea where that was going. And it's really like an old school like Martin Garrix vibe or something. I honestly really like the idea. I think that drop is totally cool and could really go somewhere. The thing I would say about this is it doesn't seem to follow like a super solid format. It feels like the song structure doesn't feel super defined. So what I would recommend doing is take a song, maybe even something like Animals, since it has something like a similar vibe, and follow the format. Say, okay, in this section of the song, the artist used, kind of an intro melody, and then he went into this big break, and then into the build-up. Try to have a bit more sort of defined sections. Other than that, I think the sounds could use a bit of mixing, sound a bit more complex. Although I do really like that drop pluck. I love that drop, so keep working on it. Just tune up the structure of the song, and I think that could be a super sick one. He's also sent in a second song. I probably won't be doing a lot of these. If I see any more, I'll probably just take the first song just to save some time, but I'm just going to listen to this one really quickly and see what it sounds like. like that vibe. Also super sick track. I really love that. The vocal is dope. I don't know where you got that, but I really like that. And the melody and the drop is super sick. To me, this track feels like, I don't know the proper word for it, maybe a bit washed out. It doesn't feel like everything is super defined, kind of like the other track. I would work on sort of tightening up everything. I think you could tighten up your drums. I personally think you could use a bit more punchy kick. For instance, the claps that come in the beginning, they have a lot of reverb on them. I think you could use a maybe more natural sounding clap that's a bit tighter. If you can keep in mind, just tighten up the whole track. Hopefully that helps. I know it's not super good feedback, but yeah, solid melody. Keep going with that. We have a submission from Nakey Mine. Nakey like naked. This is cool intro. Very kind of mysterious.
If you want me, baby, let me know now. Oh, and if you want me, baby, show me now. Oh, and me now, baby, scream out loud, baby.
Holy shit. I was not expecting that. First of all, that's holy shit. I was not expecting that drop. That's insane. I forget the artist now, but anyway, super sick drop. Thing I would say for this track, and I've said this in a couple of the other demos, like it feels like it kind of just goes, like the vocals there, and there's some instruments, but it's just kind of doesn't change a lot in the energy, and then suddenly the drop hits. So I would try to define, like for instance, the first 8 bars going into the second. I think it sounds like you add a clap or maybe some other instruments there, but it doesn't feel like it's a huge change in energy. I would try to emphasize that more. So at first it starts off with a kick, then some claps come in and emphasize that more. And then like for instance in the build up 2, some build up drums come in, but they're pretty faint. So I would try to change those, probably just a mixing thing, but try to bring up the energy, maybe add some more risers so you can tell that the drop's coming. Right now, like I said, it just feels like, okay, we're going, and then suddenly the drop's there. Other than that, man, dude, this drop is sick. I'm not sure exactly what label that would fit, since it's not my style, but I love that. It hits really hard. Hey, a demo from Thomas, only 14, been making music for 2 years, so he started when he was 12. I wish I had started making music when I was that old. He said he only made the build up and drop for this one. That's actually super sick. The melody is awesome. I like those big super saws. They sound pretty gnarly. So good job. In this intro, I know it sounds like a track you just started, so just the build up and drop, but I don't think you need to cut out, like in this first part, it sounds like you put like a high pass on there. I don't think you need to do that. I think the first thing I would start out with this track is just mixing, especially in the drop. It sounds like you can hear the lead very well, and the kick and bass just don't stand out quite enough. So I would just work on mixing. Make sure you're using sidechain for your bass. Maybe even try a different kick that really punches through, especially for a big room sort of track like this. Since it doesn't have big chords and bass and stuff that fill up the track, you really need the bass and kick to do a lot of the heavy lifting as far as punching through and keeping the beat going. Super sick melody. I like that. Just go back and do some mixing, make those drums really punch through, and I think this could be a super dope track. Nice job. This one is from Chen. Thank you for sending this in, Chen. Apparently it's not available. So Chen, I'm sorry I can't listen to your track because it says it's not here. If you want to go ahead and send me a new link or something, please do that, and I will listen to your track in the next video. This next one is from my boy Sheeps. Sheeps has commented on 1 million of my videos, so what's up, dude? He says he wants some feedback on the mixing. Love this intro piano. I don't know what plugin it is, but let me know that in the comments. I think it's a super dope sound. Ooh, I like that. Some nice bit crush on those chords. Damn, I'm getting some like strong Dirty Palm vibes. Dude, this bass is heavy. That's an awesome track. I really like that, and that's not exactly my style, but sort of, like I said, Dirty Palm. The intro is super sick. I really like when those chords come in, starts giving it a lot of energy. The drop sounds really dope. I love that melody. I think you said this in your email, but the mixing could be adjusted a little bit, and mostly just levels, I think. In the drop, I think the bass could be louder. Right now, it's pretty heavy in the leads. And the leads right now are also very wide, so it sounds like it's like the leads are very wide out. I would try adding just it could even be a pretty basic saw right in the middle. Even if you want the sort of end result to have the lead sound pretty wide, try adding just a single saw voice in the middle, and that should really help fill up the sound. Other than that, I would say make the bass louder. I really like the bass sound. It sounds super aggressive, so just make that stand out more. A lot of the percussions and drums I think could be louder. And then the only other thing I heard was in the build-up. The first half of the build-up was going, drums were coming in, and then it had a little fill. And then in the second half of the build-up, it sort of felt like it had the same energy. So try either making the drums louder. I would add some risers, maybe add the bass in there, so you get some low end before the drop, and just bring up the energy until it hits the drop. But yeah, it's a super solid track. I love the melody, and the Dirty Palm sound design, that's spot on, dude. This next one I'm really excited to listen to. This is my good friend Priyanks. I've actually done a collab with him. In fact, my latest track was a collab with him. So if you want to check that out, I'm going to put a link down in the description. He's an insane producer. His sound design is crazy. So I'm expecting something really good. Let's check it out. I probably won't have much feedback.
I lose control.
I think I've actually heard this one. I feel like I've heard it before.
I lose control. I lose control. Lose control. Surprise.
I don't have any feedback. Dude, this guy is insane. I think you could probably hear from that, but his sound design is crazy. His melodies are insane. He's an awesome producer. He mostly does like sort of melodic dubstep and that sort of stuff, but this track is awesome. Honestly, I really don't have any feedback. I just wanted to hear it because all of his tracks are dope. One thing I would maybe add is right here in the middle of the drop, right here. Instead of going right back in the melody, maybe have some sort of break. So da 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 da. And even if it's like a breath or like a vocal sample, just have that first beat be like ba wah ba ba ba, and then kind of suck you back into it. Maybe if it's even just like a filter, like the leads filter down and it's just a big growl and then they filter back in, something like that. Just that first beat. I think that could be cool to sort of switch it up and just have like a little bit of an unknown beat there. So yeah, I'm not sure if this song is signed or not. I'm not sure like what the process is, but yeah, it sounds like it's ready to be signed. Anyway, Priyanks is a sick producer. Go check out my latest track with him down in the description. Okay, this is from MZGH. Migs, not sure how you pronounce that.
Space and time tends to bend.
I feel like I'm about to get sucked down into the underworld. That's sick. Super dope track, dude. It's definitely not my style, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to give the best feedback on it. I think in the drop, I don't know what there's like a certain name for it. It's not the kick. There's like this weird, it's like some Russian style percussion that is in this kind of, what is it, hard style. But I would maybe make that punch out a bit more. whatever the equivalent of the kick is. And then the only other thing I think that sounded a little bit weird was this build-up. Right there, it just like drops off, and it's just the snare and like a couple other things. So I feel like that threw me off a bit. I would try to make maybe some like downlifters or something and make that section a bit more defined so you can follow along and know when the drop's coming. Maybe add some chords in there or something instead of just having that snare. The melody is super killer. It has a little bit of that same like spooky vibes like we just heard from Priyanks. So keep working with it, man. I really like the sound design. I think it's a dope track. Okay, this one is from Pedro, and this may be one of the last ones. We might do one more. I like that synth. It's very, kind of has a very aggressive feel to it. Yo, that's sick. That's super sick. There's a lot of elements in this track that I really like. The melody is super dope. It's like got this very aggressive feeling. The thing that stands out to me that would make it hit a lot harder is, I said this in the very first couple tracks, with your lead right now, all the tails when the note ends is the exact same. Make a volume automation and just in some of those notes that you want to accent, cut out the volume all the way. So bum, instead of being like ba 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 ba, it's bum 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 bum. Make those notes stand out a lot more. Also, sort of two things. One is I think you could add a wider lead. Right now it's just that very mono lead, which is cool. You can still keep that same feeling, but adding some wide leads, even if they're not super loud in the mix, can really fill it up. Right now it feels like the lead is a bit overpowered by the other instruments. And with that said, if you're adding other synths, you could also add those to accents. So along with the volume automation clip, if you add sort of accent leads, like add layers, but just on specific notes. So if there's like a certain note you want to accent, you could have sort of supportive leads just on that certain note. And then the only other thing I would say is try to find a vocal for it. It's a sick track, but I think tracks are usually just better if they have a vocal. I know it's really hard to find vocals. I struggle with it, but they're out there and you can chop up vocals like from Splice. Usually I'll take maybe a couple different sections of different vocals and put them together if they're from the same artist. Keep working with that, man. It's a super sick track. Okay, this is from Garrett. Let's take a listen. This track is called Birthday. Sounds like a happy track. Nice snare. I like that snare a lot. Nice track. I think that melody is super solid. The first thing I would notice is it sounds like it's missing a vocal in the first part. You have that piano melody in there, which to me sounds like it is sort of a placeholder for a vocal. So I would definitely try finding a vocal to put in there. Build-up is awesome. I really like that heavy snare. And then for the drop, I think the thing that's happening right now is the lead is very mono and it sounds like it's in a pretty low register, which is fine, but I think that means it clashes with the bass a little bit. So you could do a couple things here. One, you could widen the lead out so the bass is in the center and the lead is wider instead of being so mono. The other option is you could maybe put the lead up an octave. You could also cut out some of the lows in the lead. I think the idea here is that you just want to separate everything out, because right now you have the kick in the middle, you have the bass in the middle, and you have the lead in the middle. So things sounds like they're kind of interfering with each other. This is something that I've been giving feedback to the other tracks, and it sounds like you've done it, which is that you've added those hard cutoffs with the volume automation. So that's super good. It makes those notes stand out a lot. But the other thing you could do is add reverb automation. So on some of those things, you sort of get this swell, especially if you have a mono lead. It sort of swells out and fills up the space. And one of the ways you can do that is actually set up like a peak controller if you're working in FL Studio and have the reverb automate itself, or you can just set up an automation clip and control manually where you want those reverb swells to sort of accent out. But yeah, super sick track. Got a lot of like Dirty Palm vibes from that, which I absolutely love. So keep working on it, man. All right. Well, I have been recording now for 47 minutes and 40 seconds, which is a stupid long video. So I don't even know if I'm going to be able to include all the tracks that I recorded in this video. I'll definitely have to do a lot of editing. So if I miss a track, like I said, I'll either email you back at some point or I will do another video where I give you feedback on that. But I hope you guys liked that. I hope you guys got some good feedback, and there were some really sick tracks in this video. So keep sending those in. My email is always available to send in those tracks if you come up with a new track and want some feedback. amelmusicofficial@gmail.com. Don't be afraid to send in your tracks. I love hearing them. Otherwise, like I said earlier in the video, go check out my latest track with Priyanks. I'll leave that a link in the description. Check out my latest remix. I just dropped it a couple days ago. It's a bootleg, but I think it sounds pretty dope. And stay tuned, I have a lot of really cool videos coming out very soon that I think you guys are going to like. With all that said, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go get to the editing room because I have hours of editing to do to put all this down into a condensed video. And other than that, I think that's pretty much it. As always, guys, my name is Amél. Feel free to write me down in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.